In this presentation, I will introduce about the tuple data type of Python. So what is a tuple? Tuples are sequences that are used to store a tuple of values of any type. It is similar to list of Python with a little difference. Tuple are immutable. That means you cannot change the values of a tuple in place. Or simply, you can't change any values of a tuples. Some of the example of tuples are, so the first one, it is written as t1 equal to first bracket open close. So this is an empty tuple. In case of tuple, the sequences are enclosed within a parenthesis, that is an opening first bracket and a closing first bracket. Look at the second example. Here it is written t2 equal to within first bracket 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is an integer tuple and it is enclosed within first bracket open and close. Now let me show you how to create tuples. So there are different ways of creating tuples. At first, let me show you how to create an empty tuple. If I write t equal to first bracket open close and then give an enter, so an empty tuple will be created. If I write t and then press enter, it will show a first bracket open and a close. So nothing is there in between. So this is an empty tuple. At the same time, let me show you how to create tuples of different types. Let me create a tuple, say t1 equal to say 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a tuple with integer values. If I print t1, it will show 1, 2, 3 and 4. Next, let me create another tuple, say t2 equal to within first bracket, let me write 23, 6.789 and let me write a string, say hello within quote. So this is a tuple with mixed data types. If I print t2, so it will show me the same tuple with different types. Next, let me show you how to create single element tuple. This is quite interesting. Making a tuple with a single element is tricky because if you just give a single element in round brackets, Python consider it a value only. Let me show you an example. If I write t equal to within brackets say 10. Now let me print this t. It will simply give a 10. So this t equal to within first bracket 10 will simply treated as an integer expression. That means t is a variable and it is initialized with 10. T will not be considered as a tuple. That means if we write a single element within first bracket open close, so it will not be considered as tuple. It will be simply treated as a normal variable initialization. So how we will create a tuple with a single element? For that you have to write t equal to, suppose I'm writing 20 and we have to give a comma at the end of this number. Now give an enter, print t, look, it will form a tuple. So in the output it is showing within first bracket 20 comma. So it is considered as a tuple. You can also write like this, t equal to within bracket say 5 comma, then close the bracket and give enter. Now print t, it will show you the same thing and obviously it is a tuple. So whenever you want to create a tuple with a single element, just give a comma at the end of this number or put the number within a first bracket and don't forget to give a comma at the end of this number. Next is to create a nested tuples. That means when a tuple is written within another tuple, that is called a nested tuple. Let me show you an example. Suppose t1 equal to within bracket 1, 2, and let me write another tuple within this 3, 4, 5. Close the bracket of the innermost tuple, then the outer tuple. Give enter, then print t1. So it will create a nested tuple. This is an inner tuple and it is one of the member of this outer tuple. At last, let me show you how to create tuples from an existing sequences. The existing sequence may be string, list, etc. Suppose I have declared a string as s and let me initialize it with hello. Now how to convert this sequence or this string to tuple? For that we require a tuple function and within bracket let me write down the string variable s, then give enter. Now if I print t1, so it will show the tuple t1 which contains the character of hello as an individual element of this tuple. So all the character of the given string are splitted up and becomes an individual element of the tuple. Now let me show you another example. Suppose a list L is given to me, and the list L is initialized with say 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I want to convert this list to tuple, for that we will do the same thing as we have done in case of string. So let me write t2 equal to tuple within bracket the list name L, then give enter. Now if I print t2, it will display the tuple. Look, it generated individual elements from the individual elements of the past list L. We can also create tuple from user input. Let me show you an example. Suppose t3 equal to tuple within bracket. Let me write down the input function, and within this enter tuple elements. Give enter. Now it will ask user to give some tuple element. Let me write down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and then give enter. Now if I print t3, it will display the tuple as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as a tuple element, and all are enclosed within first bracket open and close. And since whatever we take input through input function, everything will be converted to string. So that's why each and every element are enclosed within single quotes. Next, accessing tuple. Just like the list, the tuple elements are positioned by some index value. The first element of the tuple is indexed as 0. The next one is indexed as 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. And we call it as a forward indexing. Again, the last element is considered as -1. The second last element is considered as -2, then -3, -4, -5, and so on. So this forward and backward indexing of tuple are quite similar with list and string data type. Now if I want to access the 8th element, for that I have to write t within third bracket 7. So 7 is the index. This is the 8th element. Again, if we write t within third bracket -1, that means it is pointing to the last element, that is capital R. So both t7 and t-1 represent the same thing. Let me show you some example based on this in Python interpreter. First of all, let me create a tuple with some characters, say A, B, C, D. So if I print t, it will return the same thing, A, B, C, D. Now if I write t within third bracket, say 1, so it will return the second value, that is B. Since A is at the 0 index, B is at the 1 index, so t1 will return B. Now if I write t-1, that means it will return the last value, that is D. As I have already said, that tuple is immutable. That means you cannot change the values of this tuple. Suppose you want to initialize the first element with some other character. Now if I write, say t within third bracket 0, that means it represents the first position. If you want to initialize with some other value, say y, and if you press enter, it will generate an error, type error, tuple object does not support item assignment. That means you cannot assign any value to an existing sequence. So tuple is immutable. Next, let me show you slicing tuples. This is similar to list and string. If you have no idea about the list, go and check the description box. There you will find the link of videos of list. So when we slice a list or a tuple, it generates a sequence. So this is the syntax of slicing. So the sequence equal to t, this is the tuple name t, and within third bracket there are 3 parameters, start, stop, and step, and all these 3 parameters are separated by a colon. Start represent the starting or the beginning index from where we are going to slice the tuple, and stop represent the index where the slice is going to stop. Step is optional. Suppose we have a tuple like this. So this is the tuple name t, and it has all the alphabet of computer as its elements, and let me show you an example how to slice it. So look, when we write t within third bracket 1:6, that means 1 represents start, 6 represents stop. That means the slicing will take place from the start position, that is from 1 position, or you can say from the 1 index, and it will stop before the 6 index. Be very careful, the slice ends before the stop index. Here I have written 1 colon 6, that means slice will take place from one index and it will stop up to 5, that is before 6. So at the one index it is written O and the index 5 contains T. So within this element 1 to 5 all the characters will be considered. So OMPUT will be the new sequence of slicing. Let me show you more slicing techniques in the Python interpreter. Let me create a tuple, say t equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. Now if I write, say t within third bracket, colon, comma 6, that means start position is not mentioned over here. That means it will consider 0 index as its start value. So at the 0 index 10 is there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 60 is in the 5 index. Since I have written 6 at the stop position, so the slicing will stop before this 6 index. So it will start from 0 index and it will stop before the 6 index, that is up to 60. Let me print this expression, so it will give 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60. Now again, if I write t within third bracket, say 5 colon third bracket close. Now in this case, stop is not mentioned over here. So slicing will start from index 5 and it will stop at the end of the tuple. That means it will display all the element from the index 5 onward. Let me show you the output. The element in the index 5 is 60. So it will display all the element from index 5 onward. We can also use a negative index in case of slicing. If I write t, say 5 colon minus 2. Look at the output. Index 5 means 60. Minus 2 means the last one is minus 1, the second last element is minus 2. So the slicing will start from index 5, that is from 60 onward, and it will end before minus 2. That means it will end before this 80, that is up to 70. This is minus 3. So it will start from 60 and ends up to 70. In this case, you have to consider forward indexing and the negative indexing. Joining tuples. Joining two tuples is very easy, just like you perform addition literally. The plus operator here will act as a concatenation operator. So when we use plus operator with two tuples, it joins two tuples. Let me show you an example. Suppose tp1 tuple 1 equal to say 1, 2, 3. And let me take another tuple tp2 equal to say 4, 5, 6. Now if I write tp1 plus tp2, it will concatenate or join these two tuples side by side. So first one, it will display 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. You can join more than two tuple at a time. Be very careful. You cannot add a number with a tuple. When we are using a plus operator in case of a tuple, the both two operand must be of tuple type. We cannot add number, complex number, string, list with a tuple. It will generate an error. If you try to add a number with a tuple, it will generate an error. This is a type error, can only concatenate tuple. Again, if you write like this, tp1 within bracket, there is a single element, say 3. So this will generate an error. Why? Because a single element within a first bracket will not be considered as tuple. It will simply a number. So a number cannot be added up with a tuple. Now if I have to join this single number tuple with this tp1 existing tuple, for that I have to write tp1 within bracket 3 comma. As I have shown earlier, so when we put a comma at the end of a single element and within a first bracket, it will be considered as tuple. If you just simply write a single element within a first bracket, it will not be considered as tuple. Just give an enter, it will show me 1, 2, 3. This is the content of the tuple tp1 1, 2, 3, and along with this the last 3 will be concatenated and the final result will be look like this. Next, repeating or replicating tuples. Like string and list, you can use multiplication operator to replicate a tuple specified number of times. Let me show you an example. Suppose let me take t equal to 1, 2, 3. Enter. Now if I multiply t with 3, so the same tuple will be repeated 3 times. Look, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, again 1, 2, 3. That's mean when you used with tuple, the plus operator require both the operands as tuple type, and in case of multiplication operator requires a tuple and an integer as operand. Next, let me show you some tuple comparison. The technique is exactly similar with the list operation. Go and check the description box of this video. You will get all the link of the videos of list data types in Python. Let me create a tuple, say a equal to 2, 3, and then another tuple, say 2, 3. Both are identical. If I write a equal to b, yes, it is correct, so it will return true. And if I write a greater than b, no, it's false. Let me create another tuple, say c equal to 2, 5, 6, 7. Now if I write a greater than c, a has the element 2 and 3 and c has the element 2, 5, 6 and 7. Look, the first element of a and c are same. This is 2, this is also 2. So it will move to the second element. This is 3, this is 5. So there is a difference. Now it will check whether 3 is greater than 5 or not. No, it is not correct. So it will return false. In case of comparison, the subsequent element of both the tuple will be compared. Whenever it gets a different value, so the decision will be taken according to that position only. Now if I write a less than c, it will return 2. Why? The first element of a and c are same. The second element of a is 3 and the second element of c is 5. 3 less than 5? Yes, the condition is true. So whenever it gets a different value in both the tuple, the decision is taking place at that position only. It will not look after the numbers or the elements after this. Let me show you an exception. A contains 2 and 3. Let me create another tuple with 2.0 and 3.0. So this is an integer tuple and d is a float type tuple. Now if I write a equal to d, it will return true. So in case of integer and float, if the values are same, decimal fraction part are ignored and compared, and that's why it is returning true. Now if I write e equal to within bracket 2 within quote and 3 within quote. So this is a string tuple which contains 2 and 3. Now if I compare a equal to e, it will return false. In this case also the data types are different, but integer or float cannot be compared with a string type, so that is why it is returning false. But in case of integer and float, that is in case of a and d, their data type are also different. But here is the exception, that when an integer tuple is compared with a float type tuple and if their elements are same, then the equality checking of these two kind of tuple will return true. Next, let me show you unpacking tuple. Creating a tuple from a set of values is called packing, and its reverse, that is creating individual values from a tuple's element, is called unpacking. Let me create a tuple first, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if I write p, q, r, s equal to t, that means each and every element of this tuple will be initialized with p, q, r and s respectively. Look what happened. If I print p, it will return 1, that is the first element of tuple t. Next, if I print q, it will return 2. Now if I print r, it will return 3. Now if I print s, it will return 4. So this is what you called unpacking. That's mean all these numbers are packed within this tuple, and we are unpacking this number within these variables. Deleting tuples. We cannot delete individual element from a tuple because tuple is immutable. Suppose I have a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4 as its elements. Now if I want to delete by using the del command, del t of 1, that's mean I want to delete the second element. 1 is the index, so it represents the second position of the tuple. No, it is not possible. Tuple is immutable. It will show type error. Tuple object does not support item deletion. But it is possible to delete the entire tuple using this del command. If I write del then t, it will delete the entire tuple. Now if I want to print the t again, so it will show name error, t is not defined. So this is all for this video. In the next video, I will show you the inbuilt functions and methods of tuples. If you have any query, write it down in the comment box. I will try to reply you back as soon as possible. Thank you.